It was a Tuesday evening in June 2021 when a sister returned home from work only to find her younger sister's body lying cold on the floor and a piece of paper with a disturbing message from her killers placed on her body. The chilling message on the paper would remain one of the most mysterious aspects of the case, leaving investigators and the community to wonder about its true significance. It all began on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2021, after Blessing's elder sister returned home from work at around 6 p.m. She had been trying to reach her younger sister, 25-year-old Blessing Olajide Omowumi, throughout the day, but all to no avail. She had called her phone repeatedly, but on every attempt, the phone would ring without anyone picking up. This was quite unusual for Blessing, who was always quick to answer her calls. Upon reaching their shared apartment, a sense of unease began to creep in. The door was locked, which wasn't particularly strange, but when she knocked repeatedly and there was no response from inside, a growing sense of worry began to take hold. The heavy silence behind the door felt deeply unsettling because she expected her sister to be home by then. After realizing that something might be wrong somewhere, she quickly called some of her neighbors for help. Together, they broke down the door, but nothing in the world would have ever prepared them for the horrific discovery they were about to make inside. As soon as the door creaked open and they stepped into the apartment, Blessing was found lying naked and motionless on the floor. Her hands had been tied behind her back and her mouth had been gagged to prevent her from screaming for help. The bruises on her private parts told a story that no one wanted to believe, but the evidence was clear and undeniable. She had been subjected to the most horrific treatment imaginable before her life was brutally taken from her. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of the entire scene was what lay on her chest. A piece of paper had been intentionally placed there, containing a message that would send shockwaves through the entire University of Ilorin community. The note read, "No forgiveness from the University of Ilorin." The neighbors immediately contacted the police at the 8th Division Police Station, and officers arrived at the scene promptly. The police officers carefully documented everything at the scene, taking photographs and also securing evidence. Blessing's body was then transported to the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, where an autopsy would later confirm that she had been violated before being killed. The disturbing note left on her chest became a focal point of the investigation. The message, "No forgiveness from the University of Ilorin," suggested that this might not have been a random crime, but rather something more targeted. The question then was, what could she have possibly done to deserve such a fate? The police began their investigation with more questions than answers. Omowumi Blessing Olajide was a 300-level student in the Agricultural Science Department at the University of Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. She was 25 years old and also an indigene of Kwara State. Blessing had been living with her elder sister in the Tanke area of Ilorin while attending university. Her family had high hopes for her future, and she was known to be a hardworking student who focused on her studies. She had moved in with her sister to be closer to the university and to have a supportive family environment while she completed her degree. The young woman was described by those who knew her as quiet and dedicated to academic pursuits. Her choice to study agricultural science showed her interest in contributing to Nigeria's development in this important field. Blessing had dreams of making a positive impact after graduation and would forever be remembered by her family and loved ones as a beloved sister and daughter. The police wasted no time in launching their investigation, with the Department of State Services (DSS) taking the lead in tracking down the criminals. Using advanced technology, investigators were able to trace the suspects through various methods that the criminals never expected. The case had a breakthrough when investigators tracked Blessing's stolen mobile phone. The technology allowed them to follow digital trails and movements, eventually leading to the identification of several suspects. One of the key leads came from the tracking of the location of one of the suspect's girlfriends, which then led investigators to others who had been involved in buying and selling items stolen from Blessing's residence. Within just 11 days of the murder, a total of 8 suspects had been arrested. 3 out of the 8 suspects, namely Abdulaziz Ismail, Ajala Oluwatimileyin, and Oyeyemi Omobolahan, were considered the prime suspects in the horrific crime. During the investigation, it became clear that this was not just a simple case of violation and murder, but involved multiple people with different roles. Some had participated directly in the crime, while others had helped to dispose of stolen property or accessing Blessing's bank accounts. CCTV footage showed some of the suspects withdrawing money from Blessing's bank account after her death. Others were found with her stolen phone and other personal items. It was discovered that the first prime suspect, Abdulaziz Ismail, had contacted 3 others just one day after the incident to help them unlock Blessing's phone, withdraw money from her account, and sell other items stolen from her residence. According to them, their original plan was just to rob her, not knowing that the crime would drastically transform into something much worse. The investigation revealed that Blessing had actually died while being actively violated by one of the attackers. It was also established that after the crime was committed, one of the attackers wore a mask to change her ATM card PIN and withdraw 50,000 naira from a bank in Ilorin. They had taken her Samsung Galaxy phone, a laptop, a Samsung drive, and other items. The second suspect, Ajala Oluwatimileyin, was said to be the one who suggested the violation and the robbery. When he tried to create an alibi by claiming that he was at a secondary school where he had been posted for observation, investigators found this story full of contradictions. The confession showed that the suspects had conspired to transfer money from Blessing's account, with some of them being experts in computer manipulation who helped steal a total of about 149,000 naira through various transfers. On June 30, 2021, all 8 suspects were charged in court for their various roles in the crime. The case would continue for more than a year and a half as the legal process unfolded. The main suspects faced serious charges including murder, rape, armed robbery, and illegal possession of firearms. A total of 11 counts were brought against the primary defendants, showing the severity of their crimes. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence including physical evidence, digital evidence, confessional statements, and witness testimonies. One dramatic moment came when the prosecution tried to play the recorded confessional statements in open court. The defense team objected, claiming that parts of the videos had been recorded by someone who was not a DSA staff member. However, Justice Ibrahim Yusuf overruled these objections and allowed the videos to be shown as evidence. This decision proved important in securing convictions, as the suspects' own words were used to establish their guilt. On December 13, 2022, more than a year and a half after Blessing's murder, Justice Ibrahim Yusuf delivered his judgment. The 3 main suspects, Abdulaziz Ismail, Ajala Oluwatimileyin, and Oyeyemi Omobolahan, were found guilty of culpable homicide and armed robbery. The judge sentenced them to death by hanging. The 3rd defendant, who was also convicted of rape, received an additional life sentence. The 4th and 5th suspects were sentenced to 3 years in prison for conspiracy and theft. They had been found guilty of using computer skills to transfer money from Blessing's bank account after taking her ATM card, SIM card, and phone. The 6th, 7th, and 8th suspects were found not guilty and therefore released. The court determined that while they played a role in disposing of the stolen properties, there was not enough evidence to convict them of the most serious charges. The prosecutor later noted that all those involved were young men between 19 and 23 years old, calling this fact particularly tragic and concerning for the country's future. Even after the trial and convictions, one major question about the case remains unanswered till date. This unsolved puzzle was the disturbing note left on Blessing's chest by her killers. Despite the thorough investigation and detailed confessions, the suspects never provided a clear explanation for why they left the message "No forgiveness from the University of Ilorin" or what it was supposed to mean. The piece of paper left many people wondering whether the note was meant to send a message, whether it was connected to some unknown problem with the university, or whether it was simply a tactic meant to confuse the investigators. The lack of explanation for this crucial piece of evidence continues to baffle those who followed the case. While justice was served, with the main criminals receiving the death penalty, no amount of legal punishment can bring back a life that was so needlessly taken.
Nice job. Move up.
Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.